Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Silver City Community Theater Radio Hour, right here Sundays at 5 on Gila Members Community Radio, KURU 89.1 FM in Silver City, New Mexico, and online at gmcr.org. I'm Wendy Spurgeon, your hostess here with weekly radio theater entertainment, simmered patiently by our expert audio chef, Chris Wellman of Mystic Way Productions, featuring the hearty, nourishing talent of Silver City Community Theater and beyond. Tonight, it's SCCT Radio Hour, Season 2, Episode 11, Stories from Home. Unscrupulous Bettina, Shelley Chase, stirs up trouble for cousin Jeanette as Amanda and Edward, Marianne Marlar and Greg Bond try their best to assuage her fears in Amanda of Honeymoon Hill. Betty Crocker interviews Eve Curie, Robin Santa Teresa, on her book about her mother, scientist Marie Curie, while stirring up the batter for Apricot Streusel coffee cake. And J.M. Barrie weaves a haunting story of a father's love and loss of the daughter that might have been. Dan and Ella Jameson.
Did you know that there's now an instant coffee with roaster fresh, pure coffee flavor? It's instant red eye coffee. The instant coffee with a famous flavor. Wonderful, good to the last drop flavor combined with the convenience and thrift of coffee made instantly in the cup. Unlike most coffees, it's all pure, rich coffee. Nothing added. Tomorrow, try the instant coffee with the famous flavor. Instant red eye coffee. Instantly good to the last drop.
The makers of Phillips Milk and Magnesia tablets present Amanda of Honeymoon Hill, a radio drama of love and life in wartime in the romantic South. The story of a beautiful valley girl, Amanda Dyke, who married the son of the aristocratic family up on the hill, Edward Lighton. Today, at the end of our show, a special appeal will be made to every woman in America who is eligible to join the waves. Hundreds of thousands of waves are needed urgently, at once. Full details will be given at the end of the broadcast. And now for our drama, Amanda of Honeymoon Hill. Amanda is troubled, deeply troubled. She's thinking,
ever since Edward and I had to leave our lovely home in Virginia, come here to Washington to live, we've been plunged into such a different world. Of course, we had to come when Edward was given such an important job assisting Mr. Foster in his huge airplane factory. Of course, I wanted to come with him when he said he needed me here. But, well, now we've had to move into Mr. Foster's home, Edward and I. Oh, it's a beautiful place here in Chevy Chase. We have our own little suite of rooms. Mr. and Mrs. Foster are both so good to us. I don't want to seem ungrateful, truly, but, oh, I do so wish Edward and I could be alone, that we didn't have to live with them and with Bettina.
if Amanda knew the full truth, she'd wish far more urgently that she didn't have to live in the same house with Bettina Foster. For Bettina, the glamorous, unscrupulous daughter of Edward Lighton's employer, is greatly attracted to Edward. Under a pretense of friendliness to Amanda, Bettina is bent on making trouble for her. And last night, Bettina did her best to stir up trouble between her young cousin, Jeanette Lawrence, and Jeanette's soldier husband, who was away at camp. Now it's after dinner, and Edward and Amanda are talking in the sitting room of their suite in the Foster home.
Oh, that was Jeanette who just telephoned me, Edward. She asked me if I could meet her tonight or if she could come here to see me for a little while. Of course, I told her to come here.
So glad you did, darling. In 10 or 15 minutes, I'll have to leave you and join Mr. Foster in the library.
Oh.
We have a lot of work to go over, but I do hate walking out on you when you've no other plans for tonight.
Oh, darling, I have 1,000,001 things I ought to be doing. Stockings to wash, buttons to sew on your shirts, and things like that. You don't have to worry ever, dear, about leaving me alone. Your work is the important thing.
I know, but just the same, I do worry, Amanda, darling. I'm so afraid that you'll get thinking of home and Robert Elijah and missing him too much.
I do miss him, Edward. I wouldn't be a mother if I didn't miss my baby terribly. But tonight, well, leaving him in our home so I could be with you, that's my war job, Edward. And we do have each other. Look at poor Jeanette. She's all alone.
Yes, poor kid. It's tough on her and all the young wives who have to carry on alone while their husbands are in the service. But she's a brave girl and...
Yes, she has been brave, Edward. All along, so brave. But now Bettina is... Oh, darling, I've been so upset all day remembering the things that Bettina said last night.
What things?
To Jeanette, of course. Oh, Edward, I forgot I hadn't told you about that. I haven't truly had a chance. Well, you know, Bettina and I had dinner last night at Jeanette's apartment.
Yes, and you did tell me what a charming little apartment it is, and how Jeanette loves it because it's her first real home.
She almost had me crying, Edward, when she told me how she and Jack chose all the furnishings together before he went into the army, and how she's working so hard to keep the home for him till he comes back. She loves him so much, and she needs so terribly to believe in his love for her.
Well, from all I've heard, he does love her with all of his heart. And from what Jeanette said, I'm sure they're a particularly devoted couple.
I think so too, Edward, but, well, for 2 whole weeks now, Jeanette hasn't had a letter from him, not a single line, though she writes him every day, and she's nearly frantic, of course.
Oh, I see. Yes, of course, that's tough on her. But she's foolish to be so anxious. If her husband had been sent overseas, Jeanette would have received a notification of an APO address.
Oh, well, that's not what's worrying her so terribly, Edward. She's not afraid Jack's been sent out of the country.
Well, then what?
It's the things that Bettina keeps telling her. Bettina says that with a man, new places mean new faces, that out of sight, it's out of mind.
Oh, rot. Surely, Amanda, Jeanette doesn't believe that.
She doesn't want to believe Jack could forget her or deliberately neglect her, but well, Edward, you know how Jeanette's always lived in Bettina's shadow and is influenced by Bettina's opinions. And every time that Bettina sees Jeanette, she keeps telling her.
I can well imagine the poisonous doubts that Bettina would express. I suppose she has Jack spending his evenings with some other girl, having himself a heck of a good time, and forgetting his wife entirely.
That's it, exactly, Edward. It was just the very thing Bettina keeps saying.
Then she ought to have her mouth washed out with soap. That's despicable. It's worse than that. It's almost a form of treason. Army officers have emphasized over and over how important it is to a soldier's morale for him to have complete faith in his wife and to know that she has complete faith in him. And for an outsider to destroy that faith, well, it's like destroying one of our soldiers. It's aiding the enemy.
Edward, I wish Bettina could hear you saying that, or that I'd been able to put it to her that way, so clearly and sternly. I did tell her she was wrong, all wrong, talking to Jeanette like that, but I wasn't able to stop her.
And couldn't Jeanette stop her?
No, she was too upset, overwrought, crying. Oh, Edward, I'm so sorry for her, because I know how she feels, and it really isn't that Jeanette lacks faith in Jack. It's herself she doubts.
Herself? What do you mean, Amanda?
Well, it's sort of hard to express, but you know how it's been with Jeanette growing up a poor relation in this house, always having to be grateful for hand-me-down clothes. And she never was as pretty as Bettina, nor as clever. And she never really expected much happiness for herself.
But she did find happiness with Jack.
Yes, but it was never happiness she could take for granted. Because to Jeanette, it seems like a miracle that Jack should love her and choose her to marry him. Edward, you know, darling, it's so easy to doubt a miracle, especially with Bettina constantly telling her Jack's probably stepping out with some other girl.
Well, if Jeanette believes that, then she deserves to be unhappy.
Edward, darling, you don't truly understand. I don't suppose any man could understand just how Jeanette feels. That's the way women are made. And Bettina's so clever, the way she can twist things. Why, last night she was advising Jeanette to write Jack a scorching letter.
Will you tell me, please, just where Bettina gets off advising other women how to handle their husbands when she hasn't managed to get one of her own? Hasn't anyone ever told Bettina that she hasn't done so well for herself?
No, I don't suppose anyone's ever dared to tell Bettina that. But, darling, if anyone tries, she has her answer already.
Her answer?
Yes. She'd say that, well, that she had loads and loads of chances to marry, that men have been trying to marry her since she was 18, but that she always gets tired of a man by the time he proposes, so she refuses him.
I think you have something there. Yes, that's just about what Bettina would say. You made a pretty shrewd guess, Amanda.
Oh, it's more than a guess. Well, only the other day, Bettina was telling me that the really popular girl, the one who's sure of her beauty and charm for men, she never marries very young. She says that the girl who's never had a sweetheart before and is afraid she'll never get another grabs at the very first man she can get and then marries him before he quite knows what's happening to him.
Well, I'll be darned. That beats anything I've ever heard. So marrying young is the proof of an attractiveness in a woman. And being married at 29, Bettina must be all of that, is proof of her devastating charm.
Well, yes, that's the general idea. Means that Bettina's so sure she can get a husband anytime she wants that she doesn't have to hurry. Poor Jeanette and I, why, we just had to take what we could get while the going was good.
Take it and like it, I hope. So you do still like being married to me, Mrs. Lighton?
Well, I managed to stand it, Mr. Lighton. Edward, darling, you're picking up your briefcase. Oh, that means...
Yes, I'm afraid so. It means I'm going to take time to kiss you just once, and then I must hie me downstairs for that conference in the library with Mr. Foster. And I'll give you a good chance to talk to Jeanette and try to knock some sense into her head. She ought to be here soon.
I'll do my best, darling. I only wish that you could talk to her yourself.
I will sometime when I get a good chance. Goodbye, darling.
Bye.
Don't wait up for me. I may be very late.
I must remember what Edward said, every word of it, so that I can tell Jeanette. Army officers have told us over and over how important it is to a soldier's morale for him to have complete faith in his wife and to know that she has complete faith in him. There she is now. Come on in. Oh, Jeanette, darling, Oh, Bettina, it's you.
Yes, it's Bettina. Were you expecting Jeanette? I didn't know.
Well, she just telephoned a little while ago that she would be coming over.
To see you? Well, then maybe you'd rather that I only came up because I thought you'd be alone.
Now, don't be foolish, Bettina. She'll want to see you, of course. Sit down, please. Make yourself comfortable.
Well, it seems very queer that Jeanette didn't telephone me. After all, she's my cousin, and...
That must be Jeanette now. Jeanette, dear, I was beginning to be afraid that you were lost. Why, Jeanette, whatever's wrong?
That's just what I came to tell you, Amanda. Hello, Bettina.
Jeanette Lawrence, if you don't look like something the cat dragged in, you're as white as paper. Your eyes are like two burnt holes in a blanket. What have you been doing? Crying yourself sick over Jack?
No, Bettina. I'm through with crying. Through with being a trusting little fool. I've taken your advice. Last night after you left, I wrote Jack that letter, and the things I said barely scorched the paper.
Oh, Jeanette, you didn't. Jeanette, you mustn't mail it.
It's already mailed. I went right out to the post office the minute I'd finished and sent it airmail.
Good. I only hope you told him plenty.
Yes, I told him. Told him I wouldn't stand for it. Being treated this way. Being neglected and tricked while he...
Jeanette. Oh, my dear, my poor dear.
For heaven's sake, let's not have a scene. Just when Jeanette's beginning to show some gumption. My dear, you were perfectly right to send that letter. I'm proud of you.
Oh, leave me alone. Leave me alone. You made me write that letter, Bettina. And now I hope you're satisfied. Because I'd give my right hand if only I'd never written it. If only I could take it back.
But not all the wishing in the world can bring back a letter that's been written and mailed. These poisoned darts of words that Jeanette put on paper are winging their way to pierce the heart of her soldier husband. What will Jack Lawrence do when he receives that letter? And now that she has done her worst with Jeanette, what new trouble is Bettina to make for Amanda? Today we make an urgent appeal to the women of America to join the waves. As you know, our American Navy has now become the biggest in the world, in a growth so quick, so rapid, it is non-paralleled in history. This rapid growth of the Navy has made it necessary now, today, for the Navy to call upon the women of America for one of the most important jobs women have been asked to do in this war, to enlist by the thousands as waves. You are needed to put on the glorious blue uniform of the Navy, to step in and free a sailor from a shore job so that he can take his place on one of the hundreds of new Navy ships and planes which now go forward to fight in the fiercest battles of the war. As a wave, you may help direct the takeoff and landing of Navy planes as a control tower operator, send and receive important code messages, help locate men and ships at sea, make up weather charts, and so forth. The only qualification to become a wave are you must be an American citizen, 20 to 35 years old, with at least 2 years of high school or business school training, and no children under 18. The age limit for officers is 20 to 49 years. For full details, go to your nearest Navy recruiting station today. Do this at once, today. Our American Navy needs you as a wave in order to use its mighty strength most effectively in the days just ahead. Amanda of Honeymoon Hill is presented each day at this time by the makers of Phillips Milk of Magnesia tablets.
We're making 2 cups of tea using 2 bags of another leading tea to 1 Tetley tea bag. You might expect the other brand to become twice as dark as Tetley, but after 4 minutes, the difference is far less than you might have thought. 1 Tetley tea bag brews tea just about as deep and dark as the other 2 tea bags. So if you prefer a darker tea, Tetley is the one.
I like those tiny little tea leaves in Tetley Tea.
The Betty Crocker Service Program, a regular feature of General Mills. Marching along together, sharing every smile and tear. Marching along together, racing till the skies are clear. Marching along together, life is wonderful side by side.
From coast to coast, General Mills brings you the Betty Crocker Magazine of the Air, featuring Eve Curie, the famous daughter of one of the world's most famous women. And here to welcome Eve Curie is America's First Lady of Foods, Betty Crocker.
Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to you all. For just a moment, I'm going to ask you to imagine that you were someone else. Imagine what it would be like if your mother was the greatest woman scientist the world has ever known. Marie Curie gave the world one of its rarest elements, radium, which gave mankind the means of fighting its most dreaded disease. And she also gave the world a charming and brilliant daughter who has never traded on her mother's fame, but has achieved an eminence of her own as an author, lecturer, newspaper publisher, and above all, a French patriot. In just a moment, you'll meet Eve Curie, and having met her, you'll never forget her.
Well, since Mademoiselle Curie is French, and I speak the Francais like the native, Betty Crocker, what is the menu for the day?
Well, in American English, here's my menu for today. We start the meal with chilled orange sections. And for the main dish, tender, juicy, golden brown cod steaks served with buttered broccoli and broiled sliced raw potatoes. And for a quick and easy dessert, a big slice of our gold medal apricot streusel coffee cake. Golden brown with rich crumbs on top and a luscious, rich apricot filling.
Yum. Those gold medal coffee cakes, and in any language. Make mine a big piece. And you know, folks, if you haven't discovered how wonderful gold medal is for everything you bake, you're really missing something. Because gold medal is a perfectly balanced flour, blended from as many as 4 select wheats. No wonder it's America's favorite all-purpose flour, by nearly 2 to 1 over any other brand. And here's something else you should know. Over 1.5 million tests are made annually in the General Mills laboratories and kitchens to make sure gold medal flour is always uniform, with the same superb baking qualities, sack after sack, the year round. Get gold medal kitchen-tested enriched flour today and look for that folder of tested Betty Crocker recipes that come in every sack.
And now, I want you all to meet our distinguished guest, a very lovely lady, Eve Curie. We are so delighted that you could drop in for a visit this morning, Eve, and welcome back to America too. How long will you be here this time?
About 11 weeks, doing a lecture tour.
Well, Eve, I know you visited America for the first time with your mother when you were just 16. What was your first impression of our country?
Well, as you know, Betty, on that trip, Mother had come to America to receive a most wonderful gift from the women of America, a 250,000 gram of the precious radium she had discovered, but was too poor to buy to continue her research. And there was so much excitement that I didn't have a real opportunity to get acquainted with America then.
But on your next visit, you made a coast-to-coast tour and became one of our most popular speakers. And what did you discover about America then?
Well, the European idea used to be that America was a nation of practical people all wrapped up in making money. I discovered that nothing could be further from the truth, more untrue. This is the most sentimental and idealistic country I know. It is the only country where one may find a genuine freshness of feeling, an immediate reaction to world events, and sincere indignation over wrongs committed. I have a deep love for America.
And America has taken you to her heart too, Eve. I know being the daughter of the world's greatest woman scientist must have presented some problems, with so much on her mind. Did your mother ever have time to spend with you and your sister?
As busy as she was, Mother was not only a great scientist, but a wonderful mother as well. And I know how difficult it must have been because there was very little money. As you know, she didn't want to take out patents on her discoveries, and my father was killed in a tragic accident when I was just 18 months old. So we were Mother's responsibilities. We had a very quiet life and a quiet and peaceful home. And I do believe my sister and I saw more of our mother than many girls do today who have socialite mothers, who have so many social engagements. They're never at home, you know?
Miss Curie, I'd like to tell you how much I enjoyed your biography of your mother. She was never really aware of her great fame, was she?
Oh, that is true, Win. She didn't mean to be modest. She just was. She never talked about herself to us, and I didn't know I had a famous mother until I came to America with her to receive the radium gift.
Well, Eve, you've achieved a fame of your own, and your modesty is most becoming. The work you did for France during the war has already made history. And now you're the co-publisher of the second largest daily newspaper in France. Won't you tell us a little bit about it?
We have a circulation of about 500,000, an afternoon paper, and as you know, the paper shortage is still very acute. So we only have 4 pages. Our Paris press looks very odd next to your nice fat American newspapers.
And is your newspaper set up very much like ours?
Yes, and the French love cereals. And they were starved for American novels because there were none during the war. So we always had an American serial running in the Paris press.
Tell us, Eve, what are the conditions in France today?
Well, the French lead better now, winning their fight against communism, shortages ending, producing much more. it is very important, the American aid that we received. Perhaps Americans would like to know where their money is going. As you know, we were under occupation for so long, and also were very impacted by World War I. So it is very important that we have received this aid and developed the Monet Plan, which is helping France to restart its own industries, such as the steel industry. So as you see, your American dollars are put to very good use in our country.
Thank you, Eve. There has always been a tremendous spiritual bond between America and France, and I can't think of a lovelier ambassador of goodwill from your country to ours than Mademoiselle Eve Curry.
Oh, thanks, Betty Crocker.
Eve, I understand that you have a wonderful new apartment in Paris. Is the housing shortage as bad as it is here?
It is desperate. As you know, during the war, the Vichy government deprived me of my citizenship, and my belongings from my apartment were sold at auction. All my mother's furniture. It broke my heart. So when the war was over, for 4 solid years, I had a room at a hotel. And then just last spring, I found this charming apartment on the 7th floor, which is high for Paris. I can look out over the rooftops and have a beautiful view of the River Seine and the Notre Dame Cathedral.
It sounds perfectly beautiful. And by the way, we can't let you get away before you tell us the latest fashion news from Paris.
For Pete's sake, yes. What's happening to the ladies' skirts? I hope.
Well, I think you will get your hope, Win. Skirts will be shorter. Some of the French designers are making daytime skirts 16 inches from the floor. Then that's revolutionary in comparison with present style.
Well, I can see why French designs are so popular.
And all the French designers are using a great deal of embroidery this spring, aren't they?
Oh, yes. And I believe this country will feel that fashion influence very strongly. And Jacques Fath, one of the most popular designers, has the interesting idea of using almond shell and walnut shells for trimming, combining them with heavy gold thread. I doubt whether that becomes very popular anywhere.
Well, it's all right if they give away a nutcracker with every dress. And now, not to change the subject much, but it sure smells wonderful in the kitchen this morning, and I'm getting even hungrier than usual.
That's an apricot streusel coffee cake I have baking in the oven, Win. And it will get done in just a few minutes. It's a beautiful, light, tender, quick bread with a surprise center of golden apricots and a crumbly sweet streusel topping.
Is there anything more wonderful than a freshly baked coffee cake and a piping hot cup of coffee?
And Eve, this apricot streusel coffee cake is especially delicious. And we're going to make one right now so you can see how it's made. Here are the ingredients if you'd like to jot them down. 1 1/2 cups sifted gold medal flour. 3/4 cups sugar. 3 teaspoons double action baking powder. 1/2 teaspoon salt. 1/4 cup shortening. 1 egg. 1/2 cup milk and 1 teaspoon vanilla. 1/2 cup strained stewed apricots. Then for the rich crumb topping, you'll need 1/4 cup brown sugar firmly packed, 1 tablespoon of gold medal flour, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 tablespoon melted butter, and 1/4 cup chopped nuts.
Yum, that's what I smell. Cinnamon and brown sugar and chopped nuts. Apricot streusel coffee cake.
And here's how it's made. Sift the flour, sugar, baking powder, and salt into a bowl. This way. Then Cut in 1/4 cup of shortening with a pastry blender or 2 knives until the mixture looks like a meal. Then all you do is stir in the egg, milk, and vanilla and pour them into the dry ingredients, stirring enough so that all the ingredients are well blended.
What? No apricots?
Wynn's a big help in the kitchen, isn't he, Betty?
I wouldn't know what to do without him. We add the apricots now, Wynn. And here's the interesting part about this coffee cake. First, you spread half of the mixture into a well-greased and floured baking pan, 6 by 10 inches, like this. Then we'll spread the apricots over the batter well out to the edges of the pan so it covers the batter, this way. Now we'll add the rest of the batter, spooning it over the apricot filling. This is much easier than pouring it. And you know, if there's a young baby in the house...
There is in my house.
Well, strained apricot baby food is just right to use in this coffee cake. Then sprinkle the streusel topping over the mixture. Now we're ready to bake our apricot streusel coffee cake in our preheated, quick moderate oven, 375 degrees, for 25 to 30 minutes. So we'll just take out the one we baked earlier and put in the one we just made into the oven to bake. There we are. And here's our apricot streusel coffee cake that's all baked and ready to eat. Doesn't it look tempting? Luscious hot coffee cake topped with rich streusel crumbs and a layer of golden apricots through the center. Welcome anytime. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And wonderful for an afternoon snack with a big glass of milk. And here are some success tips to remember when making this recipe. Mix only enough to blend the ingredients. Don't overmix. And spoon the second layer of batter over the apricots. Then spread it. It's easier this way. Now, Wynn, I'm glad to see you've passed samples of our apple streusel coffee cake to Eve Curie and our other guests.
Uh-huh. And I sampled some myself, and as your number 1 taste tester, I can say it is scrumptious.
Yum. Tasty.
Okay, let's get into our quiz. Question 1. If your husband asked you to make dumplings for dinner tonight, what kind of dough would you prepare? A, pie pastry, B, rolled biscuit dough, C, or drop biscuit dough?
All 3 are correct. Dumplings are made from all 3 types of dough, depending upon the type of dumpling desired.
Question 2. Why are bars of baking chocolate marked off in squares?
To make it easier to measure the chocolate for a recipe.
Question 3. If you were going to make hush puppies, which of the following would you need? A, sugarcane, B, cornmeal, or C, frankfurters?
You would need cornmeal. Hush puppies are thin corn pones fried in deep fat or baked in the oven.
Question 4. If someone said they were sending you some comices, anjou, and bosques, what kind of gift would you expect to receive?
Winter pears. Comices, anjous, and bosques are the 3 types of pears available this time of year. And now I'd like to give each of you who participated in our quiz a souvenir of your visit to our kitchen. Here are 3 Tupperware kitchen canisters of Bakelite plastics. I think you'll all like them because the Tupper seal covers are airtight and liquid tight. And a generous supply of gold meal flour. And all this goes to you too, Eve Curie, for your part in the quiz. And now, Eve Curie, I want to thank you for being such a charming guest. And we want you to have a souvenir of your visit to our kitchen, something to take back to your lovely new apartment overlooking the Seine. It's our General Mills Pressure Quick Saucepan. And I know you'll enjoy using it because it prepares the tastiest meals so much faster and easier.
Thank you, Betcare.
Do come and see us again. We've enjoyed having you so much, and we wish you continued success on your American lecture tour and your French newspaper. Goodbye now, and may the future hold worlds of happiness for Eve Curie.
Folks, if you'd like to have that recipe for that luscious apricot streusel coffee cake, just drop a card to Betty Crocker, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and ask for the recipe by name. And don't forget, by saving the recipe folders that come in each sack of gold medal flour, you can build a prize recipe collection of your own. You see, all those Betty Crocker success recipes have been developed for and tested with America's favorite flour, gold medal kitchen-tested enriched flour. And remember, each recipe folder contains a valuable silverware coupon too. By saving these coupons, you can build a complete set of beautiful Queen Bess pattern in genuine Tudor plate created by the famous Oneida Community Silversmiths. Get gold medal flour today. Save the recipes and save those valuable silverware coupons.
Now win. Aren't there some new questions in our All You Have to Do department?
Yes, Betty Crocker. Mrs. McWolf of 1815 Beverly Road, Brooklyn, New York asks, what do you have to do to remove corks which have been forced down into bottles? Betty Crocker says,
empty the bottle, then pour pure ammonia onto the cork. Allow it to stand, and the cork will disintegrate and can be removed easily. That's all you have to do.
And Mrs. Henry Regan of New York City would like to know, what do you have to do to prevent water from boiling off and burning the bottom of double boilers? Betty Crocker says,
put a few of your child's marbles or a metal jar top in the water. When the water gets low, you'll hear a rattle to warn you to refill the pot. That's all you have to do.
Mrs. A. Roth, 1722 Linden Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland, wants to know, what do you have to do to remove the scorch caused by starch from the bottom of an iron?
Cool the iron and rub the bottom of the iron with a soft cloth dipped in soap and water or silver cream. That's all you have to do. And I know you'll all want to make a special date to join us on Monday because our guest will be that charming and handsome star of the silver screen.
Aw, what's he got that I haven't got? Except a mustache.
Well, for one thing, he has an English accent because our guest on Monday is David Niven. You'll truly enjoy meeting him. So do be with us. I'll be expecting you. This is Zella Lane speaking for Betty Crocker.
You have been a guest of the Betty Crocker Magazine of the Air, brought to you Monday through Friday at this time for service, entertainment, and good eating by General Mills. Be with us on Monday to meet Betty Crocker's guest, David Niven, on the Betty Crocker Magazine of the Air, brought to you by General Mills.
Come to you with the best wishes of General Mills. We'll be back Monday with more of the same fine drama and hymns of all churches. This is Charles Lyon, your host on the General Mills Hour, saying, see you then. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to SCCT Radio Hour on KURU 89.1 FM. As we near the traditional harvest feasting, our show tonight is inspired by food and family. We heard Robin Santa Teresa in Red Eye Coffee, Mel Gelb, Marianne Marlar, Greg Bond, Shelley Chase, and myself in Amanda of Honeymoon Hill, Sarah Thrasher and Billy Dominguez in Tetley Tea, and Doug Abbott, Robin Santa Teresa, and myself in Betty Crocker Magazine on the Air, interviewing Eve Curie. Next up, we hear the Jamesons, Dan and Ella, and Emily Aversa in The Enchanted Forest. And we close with Sarah and Billy again with The Great American Soup. Enjoy.
Presenting now, Leslie Howard and his little daughter, Miss Leslie Ruth Howard, who is 10 years old. Mr. Howard and his daughter were with us 6 weeks ago. I think it's safe to say that no single performance since our variety series began has occasioned the volume of letters and telegrams of appreciation that followed their appearance then. Tonight, for the benefit of those of you who may have missed the first time and those who've requested a second hearing, we repeat the same scene from Mr. James M. Barrie's fantasy, Dear Brutus. Leslie Howard and Leslie Ruth Howard in The Enchanted Forest from Dear Brutus. Mr. Howard will introduce the scene himself. Mr. Howard.
Three things, they say, come not back to men or women: the spoken word, the past life, and the neglected opportunity. There is no second chance. Each road we take, each choice we make is done, and done forever. But suppose you could turn back the clock. Suppose there were a land of the second chance, an enchanted forest of might have been, a timeless place where the things you should have done are real. A land of the second chance. Can you imagine what that would be like? Go a step further then in imagination, with Sir James Barrie and with me. Suppose I'm a man named Will Dearth, an artist, a fashionable portrait painter. I'm in the middle years, and somewhere back in those years I took a wrong turning. I've become cynical in a rather shallow fashion. Dissolute, not quite a drunkard. My work has no sincerity in it, and I know it. My wife hates me. I despise her. I have no children. Once back there, I did want a child. How different things might have been, I think, if I had had that child. I'm standing now before a door that leads from my house to the garden. I walk through the door. Suddenly, I'm in a moonlit forest, a clearing drenched with moonlight. The house is gone, but I've forgotten there was a house. I'm sitting before an easel painting, and standing beside me in the moonlight is a little girl. I don't know now in the forest that this is my daughter that might have been. I only know that this is my daughter.
The moon is rather pale tonight, isn't she?
Comes of keeping late hours.
I can't sleep when the moon's at full. She keeps calling to me to get up. Perhaps I'm her daughter, too.
You look it tonight, you know.
Do I? Then can't you paint me into the picture as well as my mother? You could call it a mother and daughter. Or simply two ladies, if the moon thinks that calling me her daughter would make her seem too old.
Oh, matre pulchra filia pulchreor. That means, oh moon, more beautiful than any twopenny halfpenny daughter.
Daddy, do you really prefer her?
Oh, she's not a patch on you. It's just the sort of thing we say to our sitters to keep them in a good humor. Margaret, what's this?
It's a tear.
I should think it is a tear.
That boy at the farm did it. He kept calling snubs after me. But I got him down and kicked him in the stomach. He's a rather jolly boy.
Yeah, sounds it. Ye gods, what a night.
What a moon. Dad, she's not quite so fine as you've painted her.
Shh, I've touched her up.
It's too lovely, Daddy. I won't be able to keep hold of it.
What is?
The world, everything, and you, Daddy, most of all. Things that are too beautiful can't last.
Now, how on earth did you find that out?
I don't know. Daddy, am I sometimes stranger than other people's daughters?
Well, more of a madcap, perhaps.
Do you think I'm sometimes too full of gladness?
Well, my darling, you do sometimes run over with it.
To be very gay, dearest dear, is so near to being very sad.
How did you find that out, child?
I don't know. From something in me that's afraid. Daddy, what is a might have been?
Might have been? They're ghosts, Margaret. I dare say I might have been a great swell of a painter instead of this uncommonly happy nobody. Or again, I might have been just a worthless, idle waster of a fellow.
You?
Well, who knows? Some little kink in me might have set me off on the wrong road. And that poor soul I might so easily have been might have had no Margaret. My word, I'm sorry for him.
So am I. Poor old Daddy, wandering about the world without me.
Yes, and there are other might have beens, lovely ones, but intangible. Shades, Margaret, made of sad folks' thoughts.
Oh, I'm so glad I'm not a shade. How awful it would be, Daddy, to wake up and find one wasn't alive.
Yes, wouldn't it be?
Daddy, wouldn't it be awful? I think men need daughters.
Yes, oh, they do, yes.
Especially artists.
Especially artists.
Especially artists.
Yes, especially artists.
Fame is not everything.
Fame is rot. Daughters are the thing.
Daughters are the thing.
Daughters are the thing.
I wonder if sons would be even nicer.
No, not a patch on daughters. You see, the awful thing about a son is that never, at least from the day he goes to school, can you tell him that you rather like him. By the time he's 10, you can't even take him on your knee. No, sons are not worth having, Margaret. Signed, W. Dearth.
But if you were a mother, Dad, I dare say he would let you do it.
You think so?
I mean, when no one was looking.
Oh.
Sons are not so bad. Signed, M. Dearth.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad you prefer daughters. At what age are we nicest, Daddy?
Well, now, that's a poser. I think you were nicest when you were 2 and knew your alphabet up to G but fell over at H. No. I think you were best when you were 3:30, or just before you struck 6, or possibly in the mumps year when I asked you in the early morning how you were, and you said solemnly, I haven't tried yet.
Did I?
Yes, such was your answer. But I'm not sure that chicken pox doesn't beat the mumps. No, I'm all wrong. The nicest time in my father's life is the year before she puts up her hair.
I suppose that is a splendid time. But there's a nicer year coming to you. Daddy, there is a nicer year coming to you.
Is there, darling?
Daddy, the year she does put up her hair.
Puts it up forever? You know, I'm afraid that when the day for that comes, I shan't be able to stand it. It'll be too exciting. My poor heart, Margaret.
No, it will be lucky you, for it isn't to be a bit like that. I'm going to be a girl one day and a woman the next for the first year. You'll never know which I am till you look down at my hair. And even then you won't know, for if it is down, I shall put it up. And if it's up, I shall put it down. And so my daddy will gradually get used to the idea.
I see. You've been thinking it out.
I've been doing more than that.
Oh, yes?
Shut your eyes, Dad, and I shall give you a glimpse into the future.
No, I don't know that I want that. The present's so good.
Shut your eyes, please.
No, Margaret.
Please, Daddy.
No. All right. They're shut.
Don't open them till I tell you. What finger am I holding up?
The dirty one.
Daddy! Now I'm putting them up my hair. I've got such a darling of a mirror. It's such a darling mirror I've got, Dad. Dad, don't look. I shall tell you about it. It's a little pool of water. I wish we could take it home and hang it up. Of course, the moment my hair is up, there'll be other changes also. For instance, I shall talk quite different.
Well, where are my matches, dear?
Top pocket, waistcoat.
You were meaning to frighten me just now.
No, I'm just preparing you. You see, darling, I can't call you Dad when my hair is up. I think I shall call you Parent. Parent, dear, do you remember the days when your Margaret was a slip of a girl and sat on your knee? How foolish we were, Parent, in those distant days.
Oh, shut up, Margaret.
Now I must be more distant to you, more like a boy who could not sit on your knee anymore.
Well, now look here. I want to go on painting. Can I look now?
I'm not quite sure that I want you to. It makes such a difference. Perhaps you won't know me. Even the pool is looking a little scared. Now look. Well, what do you think? Will I do?
Stand still, dear. And let me look my fill. The Margaret that is to be.
You'll see me often enough, Daddy, like this, so you don't need to look your fill. You're looking as long as if this were to be the only time.
Was I? Oh, surely it isn't to be that.
Be gay, Dad. You'll be sick of Margaret with her hair up before you're done with her.
Yes, I expect so.
Shut up, Daddy. Daddy, I know what you're thinking of. You're thinking of what a handful she's going to be.
Well, I guess she is.
You think I'm pretty, don't you, Dad? Whatever other people say.
Not so bad.
I know I have nice ears.
They're all right now, but I had to work on them for months.
You don't mean to say you did my ears?
Yes, rather.
Well, my dimple's my own.
I'm glad you think so. I wore out the point of my little finger over that dimple.
Even my dimple? Have I anything that is really mine? A bit of my nose or anything?
Well, when you were a babe, you had a laugh that was all your own.
Haven't I it now?
No, it's gone. I'll tell you how it went. You see, we were fishing in a stream. That's to say, I was wading and you were sitting on my shoulders holding the rod. We didn't catch anything. Somehow or other, I can't think how I did it. You irritated me, and I answered you sharply.
I can't believe that.
No, it sounds extraordinary, but I did. It gave you a shock, and for the moment the world no longer seemed a safe place to you. Your faith in me had always made it safe until then. You were suddenly not even sure of your bread and butter, and a frightened tear came to your eyes. Well, I was in a nice state about it, I can tell you.
Silly. But what has that to do with my laugh, Daddy?
Well, you see, the laugh that children are born with lasts just so long as they have perfect faith. And to think that it was I who robbed you of yours.
Oh, how you do love me, Daddykins.
Yes, I do, rather. You know, I never intend to lose you.
It would be hard for me if you lost me, but it would be worse for you. I don't know how I know that, but I do know it. And what would you do without me, Daddy?
No. Don't talk like that, dear. It's wicked, stupid, naughty.
Daddy, listen. It's going to rain.
Yes, I'm afraid it is.
It frightens me, Daddy. Let's get out of the wood.
Well, I'm afraid we won't have time, dear, before it begins to... Hello! I hadn't noticed there was a house over there. Look.
Daddy, I feel sure that wasn't a house over there.
Oh, silly. It's just because we didn't look. Our old way of letting the world go hang. So interested in ourselves. You know, it's funny. There's something vaguely familiar about that house.
Let's get out of the wood.
Yes, dear, yes. But there's somebody I have to see in that house. I'll just go in for a moment.
I'll go with you, Daddy.
No. You better not, Margaret. They might not care for children.
Don't go into that house, Daddy. I don't know why it is, but I'm afraid of that house.
No, nonsense. There's a kiss for each moment until I come back. I'll be back before you can count 100.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Daddy, don't go into that house. Please, Daddy. Daddy, come back. I don't want to be. I might have been.
Boy, am I hungry. What kind of soup is that?
Make way for the Great American Soup.
Can you give me that again?
Up at the Ritz, they pass the word to 42nd Street. Make way for the Great American Soup. Hey, mister, have you tried the soup? That's good enough to eat. Shake hands with the Great American Soup. Feel that rhythm, guide your feet on the soupy road to romance. Let's face the chicken gumbo and dance. Who's got its noodles up in lights from Broadway to the Loop? It's the great. I said the great. It's the great, great, great American Soup.
Emily, why do you always have to make such a big production out of everything?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in tonight for Stories from Home. This has been Silver City Community Theater Radio Hour. We're here Sundays at 5 on Gila Members Community Radio, KURU 89.1 FM in Silver City, New Mexico. Blessings all, and bye for now.